Alrighty, guys. Good morning. So today we are got my pressure washer gun in, so I disassembled the old one. I'm gonna show you guys last fitting. When I lived in Himrod, I went over to Himrod Supply, and this is what they got me. So what happened is later on it split. So these fittings here need O-rings. Actually, I assembled the wand. Let's take this apart and we can take a look at, where is it? Oh, here we go. Take a look at how this fitting is, or how this fitting works. So I'm gonna see if I can, and it's leaking again. So I had it off and on the wand, so here's the fitting again. So it uses a set of O-rings. So that's how it attaches. So I wonder if I could, maybe I could steal this. I don't quite recall. Oh yeah, I bet I do recall now, because this is the same style wand. So I might be able to take this fitting and put it on this end. So the new one's got the same style. So maybe I can switch these around. So we're going to do some due diligence and see if we can come up with something that gets rid of this. Because this is completely overwhelmed, and now it's blown a hole. I don't recall where exactly. I thought it was maybe in here. If I ground this down with a Dremel, I could probably find the pinhole. But if you look at the marks of the latch balls left, it's all chewed to junk. So that actually leaks until you pull the gun and it pressurizes. So we're going to work at some of this and we'll let you know how we come out. So the pressure washer is an old Briggs & Stratton powered Devil Biss. And Devil Biss these days, I believe, is owned by DeWalt. I'm not quite sure if it's part of their conglomerate, but it's a very good brand. And I've gone through multiple electric powered washers. When we got married, one of the wedding presents was from my friend Matt and Elva in Austin. They gave me a Stanley electric pressure washer. And they're really handy. They're as handy as you think they are. The only thing is, if you don't buy a top quality, top brand one, you don't have the pressure that you think you might have. So my dad bought a Honda powered North Star pressure washer years ago. And he's had that in a damp milk house. And if you got to go in a milk house that's being used, like a dairy milk house, they're wet. They're literally wet, dripping dungeons, and people spraying water inside all the time, cleaning the milk off of everything. And everything in there is wet. If you go in an unused milk house, they're usually very dry. They're pretty nice, actually. But he's had his in there. It's been in there sometime. A lot of the time it was in the milk house. Sometimes it's been in the chicken coop with all the chicken dust and whatnot. And I don't think they even had a door on the chicken coop. There was metal roofing over it. So it was hay and dust and chicken dust and wind and possibly snow blowing in the open door. And then I think sometimes it was in the feed room. I don't think it was much in the feed room a whole lot. But the powder coat was peeling off of it. The tubing's rusting from the inside. And I remember one particular day, it was spring, and we were bringing tractors out to pressure wash and change the oil and stuff for the springtime. And I pulled the Honda out of the milk house, and it wouldn't start. So I'm like, I just had an idea. I just had this idea. I'm like, I bet it's just damp from sitting in there. So I'll just let it in the sunshine. It wasn't even very sunny that day. It's probably like 55, 60 degrees and halfway sunny. This area is pretty overcast a lot of the time. Not quite like Britain, but Buffalo, New York, I believe, is one of the top 5 or top 4 cloudiest places in the world. So we're not in Buffalo, but we're a couple hours from it. So our area is often pretty cloudy and damp. So that day I left it out I went to do something. I might have brought a tractor over, whatever, 10, 15, 20 minutes, half hour tops probably. And it started right up and ran. It ran perfectly fine. And I'm like, wow. That was pretty much the only Honda. We had a Honda on a bedding chopper that was completely wore out. It had no carburetor or no air filtered. It ate dust and straw and dirt and sparked and red hot muffler. It was beat to junk. I wasn't so impressed with that one, but you could always get it started by dipping a rag into the gas tank and then laying it over the intake. Couple pulls, you fire right up and go. It surged, so you could tell it had clogged jets and whatnot. But that was pretty impressive. Dad's got that pressure washer set up. It's lucky if it's ever had its oil change. I doubt it's had a spark plug change. It's never had the air filter change. I'm pretty sure of that. It's been 10 years almost since I've left home, so and it still works and runs. I think it even has the original hose and gun on it. I think I got a long extension with an extra handle, probably twice as long as this, bent in the end so we could get into stuff better. But that's kind of my demonstration, is if you pay money for good products, you'll be happy with them. They'll last a lifetime. So that's the one end of the spectrum. That's the spectrum that I come from, the high quality, top name brand pressure washer. And you could absolutely rip, strip, grease, oil, and grime off a tractor engine blocks, as you know, greasy, oily diesel fuel in the dirt all the time, hot. Stuff gets absolutely baked on there. You couldn't get it off with a paint scrape or some of that stuff. You'd almost have to go in with a air chisel, or a hammer, or a needle scale or sandblaster, really get some of that stuff clean. And that pressure washer did as good as it could beyond buying a steam Jenny. So I came from that, and I got the Stanley, and I was really impressed with it. If you have a lawnmower and you want something to blow the grass and whatnot off of it, they do very well. But once you get an old greasy Kohler engine block in and you want to clean something to paint it, you start running out of your league. But I did like it. I used it. I think it lasted me a year, maybe more. Ended up having a Ryobi. I think the Ryobi was the last one I had. And I think I had 2 more in between. So I think I had at least 3. And I'd end up buying new guns. One of them froze. I glued the pump back together, and it worked like that. Super glue and glass-filled nylon. You can get a very good repair with that. I'd have problems with kinking hoses. Guns would break. It's just a multitude of different stuff. One of them had a little push to reset button on the cord. I cut that off and put a hospital grade big white, I don't know, something like this, big fat cord on it, and it ran it that way for a while. But the moral of the story is, I mean, they're handy and all that, but we went through a bunch of iterations. So finally, I'm like, I'm just going to spend $100 this time and buy myself a used gas washer and see how that goes. I didn't really trust the engine on top vertical shaft ones, but I got this one, and this turned out to be a Devil Bisque one. I thought it was a Harbor Freight, but turns out these are really old. These are from the somewhere between the 80s and early 2000s, I think. Most likely in the 1990s. And it works and it runs. And then a little later, I found another one beside the road from a gentleman on the lake that just used it to wash his siding and his roof. And he said, hey, I'm getting too old for it. I'm just going to get an electric one. And that one we got running, and it worked well. I ended up selling it. It was a little bit smaller engine size. This here is a 6 horsepower. And no, that was also Devil Bisque. It's the same exact thing, except a little smaller. And he said he bought his at C&T Farm and Tractor or something like that. One of the hardware stores, farm supplies we don't have anymore in the area, or at all. I don't know if it went the way of Ames and Kmart. Some of those things that I don't even remember. They've been gone, the empty storefront since when I remember, going out with mom shopping when I. So this pump here, I think I paid $100 for. It was a little more than I wanted to pay, but I figured it's okay. I just want one now. I ended up buying a new hose for it, a new gun. So I got like $200 worth of stuff invested in it. So this gun here was supposed to be a CMT gun, I think. Oops, throwing stuff around here. It says Wasper, but I thought it was a CMT. It was $20. So, well, I ended up buying a bunch of fittings and stuff to make this all work. I'm pretty sure I ended up buying this quick connect, as well as the quick connect on the hose. So I ended up spending, I think, $60 just buying hoses and stuff for it. So I haven't had any trouble with the hose so far. But the gun here actually cracked. Oh, where did it crack? Oh, here it is. It cracked on the bottom side. So my pressure washer isn't working right, and I think it's because it's just venting out all the pressure here. So I can barely get a little fizzle stream going, and I clean the tip out because sometimes that gets clogged because of I don't know why. We have a sediment filter on the system in the house, but yeah, sometimes it get plugged. Oh, it might just be from changing, because I have the soap foamer things. I lay that down sometimes in the flower bed, raised bed, and then it's probably from changing tips. So anyway, I don't have a mount. I don't have a place to keep the tip on the pressure washer like Dad's North Star always had. Dad's North Star came with at least 4 tips and places to put them, so that was really smart of them. So we are going to get right into this and see if we can adapt this Wasper gun over in a way that makes sense. And maybe we can do that by taking the O-ring connector out of here. So we're going to get right into it and let you know what happened. And I can't shut off the camera, so I'm just going to lock the screen. Bye. All right, we had lunch, a nap, some blue cheese, cup of coffee, and we're ready to rip. So this is gonna work. That's how much shaving it took. So the thing of it is, if you were doing this to an old gun and you had the tools, why wouldn't you just cut this pipe to length and then not have to do anything? So this nut that got ground flat, all right, I got the screws out here, so we're going to set you guys up. All right, let's get to work. Working. It's fairly heavy duty, actually. Okay, we're all snapped together, so. Well, here we're inside the smokehouse, and I'll admit I jigged myself. So here we are, humble and tool in hand. So this O-ring connector will work. I just ended up tying these two together with a pipe thread nipple, and to be honest with you, this weirdo's got a step inside. Still pipe thread, as far as I know, but it's got a step inside. So that's brass pipe. It seems to work. I just tried locking her up and send it in. So next time we're out here pressure washing, I think we'll find out how the chips fell. So for now, we're just gonna stick it together, and that's the best we got. What I could do is I could take the inner diameter of this brass piece and find a drill, and then just drill that brass pipe out just a little bit. Wouldn't have to be that whole step. This is a pretty deep step. It's also brass, right? So that's pretty thin. That's my concern. I was thinking this was steel. I'm like, no thanks. I don't want to drill thinner than it is. It's brass. Anyway, I hear a car with no exhaust. Well, that's it. So we'll see you.